morning, guys. Today I'm out in the shop here and I'm working on another project. So today I'm going to be making a pine marten nest box, and pine martens are a member of the weasel family. This time of year they're getting ready to select a spot to have their young. And they usually like to nest in tree hollows, and today I'm going to make a nest box. These mammals are found in old growth and second growth forests. They prefer boreal forests, and they prefer being in areas where there's some water and some alders as well. So I want to make this box, and there's a few patterns online that you'll find. There's one very common one that people may know about. A gentleman in Quebec, put together a pattern for it. This one actually I found quite unique. It's a pattern out of England, and it's a larger box. It's going to be a heavy box. The reason why I selected this pattern was that it was very unique. It's got two entrances. So there's a vestibule, so the animals come in and they go up and over into the nest box. And my understanding from this design is that it is more likely to have your target species, your pine marten, nest in there versus other animals like squirrels and birds and things like that. So, our property does back onto Crown land, and there are lots of very mature conifers back in there. So my theory is build it and they will come. We are in the range of the pine marten, sort of I'd say the southeasterly range of it. And that's going to be very cool if we ever get some pine martens nesting in this box. So here's another pattern for you guys to try out. I know some of you may be familiar with that other pattern out of Quebec, and I'm going to try this one and we'll see how it goes. Stay tuned. So here is the way the box will look. I'm going to put the link in the description box below so you guys can find this PDF on how to make this online. So as you can see here, it's a pretty decently sized box. Right now, we're looking actually at the back of it that's going to be against the tree. You can see there's a couple of pine battens there, and so it'll just be pushed off the tree by about a couple of inches there. And there is a couple of different entrances, as you can see, on the left and the right. I think this is why, when this part's pushed against the tree, why we're not going to get non-target species like, birds and stuff flying in, because they're not going to be able to squeak up the tree and in that hole. When we look at an above view of the box, so we've taken the lid off now, you can get a better idea of what's going on. So the martens come in the box there, and they kind of go up and over that little ridge there. There's a partition on either side, on the left and the right. So there's a bit of a vestibule there. And then they hop into the actual part of the nest box, and that's where they will raise their young. Just amassing the things I'm needing here. So I've got this 3/4 inch ply, or for you metric folks, 18.5 millimeter ply. It's untreated. You could use pressure treated, I guess. I don't know. Just got this regular stuff here. This is a 4x8 sheet of plywood. It's sort of cut up into workable sections here, but you don't have to do that. You can sort of rip them when you're ready to use it. And over here, it's got a few scraps of wood. I've got a couple of nailing boards here. I'm going to use this stuff on the lid. And this is another little piece of scrap pine I'm just going to make the battens out of. I've got some number 6 deck screws, just 1 5/8. There, box of those. Also picked up some construction adhesive as well, because we're going to be using the construction adhesive and then screwing the box together. And then when it's done, I'll probably use some Thompson's water seal or something on the outside part of it to make it a little bit more durable, or I might paint it. I haven't quite decided just yet. So next I'm going to take these sections of board and lay out how I want to do the pattern, and then we'll do some rough cuts there, and then after we'll use the bandsaw to cut the grooves in the wood. So you can see it's a very good day to be in the shop. We have quite a storm coming in today. Woke up to the power off and the storm hit. It's a good day to be working on some stuff inside. I think at the end of the day we're gonna get 25 centimeters or something like that. So not terrible, but certainly enough to snarl up traffic and things like that. So Oh, I can hear some snowmobiles out there. Lots of people are having fun. That's good. All right, let's get back inside. All right, so I'm just figuring out how to divide this next piece of board. I've got the front and the back done there. So I'm just going to add all this up. Oop. All right, so I'm going to make some cross cuts now for some of the side pieces and the partitions. And I've got this little fence here that I'm going to be working on to help reduce the chance of kickback on these boards. So I need a couple of pieces at 560 millimeters. That's just a little over 18 inches there, Stu. So now that I have all the pieces cut out and ready to work with, there's just a few areas we have to remove from the wood. So let me show you a close-up. So this is the bottom of the box, and over here is the top. We don't have to cut any notches out of this part of the wood. However, as you can see, these are the internal partitions where the animals would come in from the vestibule and sort of hop over and through this little hole here into the main nest box. So this part is going to have to be removed. So as you can see, I've used the diagrams here in the pattern. And you can see right there, there's that little groove that I have to remove in the corner. The back part of the box, as you can see at the bottom left and right hand of your screen, those are the entry holes for the animals to come into the nest box. So we must cut out those areas. So as you can see, I've gone ahead and traced that off already on the back of the box. So I've cut out all the necessary pieces there. What I need to do now is make some nailing strips for the underside of the lid. And I also need to cut a couple of battens that are going to go on the back of the box. So now that I have the rear battens and the nailing strips cut for the top of the box, I'm going to screw them, screw the box together. So first off, I'm going to start by putting the rear battens on, and I'm using the number 6 epoxy coated 1 5/8 screws. So this batten right here, I'm just putting about 4 inches down from the top of the box, and the pattern, it shows the picture that this batten is only a very small portion of the back of the box. However, when they ask you to cut the piece, they want it to overhang by 50 millimeters on either side. So I'm just going to do it that way, and if I don't like it, I can always, cut it off. So I have it flipped over. I'm just going to use some of this Lepage Premium Construction Adhesive. I'm going to put a few strips on where I'm going to put the sidewalls and the internal partitions, and then we'll screw it together. We'll line that up. All right, so now that we have it, got some premium construction glue there holding this on, and we've got it clamped. What we're going to do is, let's clamp, we're going to flip it over. All right, so I've drilled a little bit deeper pilot hole into the other 3/4 inch ply in the sideboard there, and now I'm just going to put in my screws. Oops. Okay, flip this over. Just put in an extra couple screws here for good measure. Nice. So you can start to see how this is coming together. Let's put on the final side of the box. Next, we're going to screw the front panel on to the box. Well, I've got the front on now, and now we just have to put on the bottom. You may want to save cutting the bottom panel till the last so you can get really specific measurements. I didn't, and so you can see when I put in this bottom, now it is supposed to be recessed, so this is the inside of the box, and fit this in there. You can see I do have a little bit of gaps on this side, so the board may be a little bit bent, or I just messed up in terms of my measurements. But I'll screw it on anyway and pull it in as tight as I can with the screw. Well, I've got the bottom installed here, and by some modern miracle, I was able to bring it together just with the screws on the side there. So there are no gaps, so that's really positive. On the top, I drove in some 3-inch screws, so this is really nicely secured. Just sort of filled them with a little bit of construction glue there and some sawdust. So I want to give you guys a peek at it before I put the lid on. There's the front that'll be facing outward. There's the side, and there's the back with the battens that go against the tree. Here are the entrances where the marten enter into this little vestibule here. There's the second entrance. So you can see that's where the marten come in, the entry hole at the bottom. They hop over this little partition and they nest right down in here. And there's the second entrance with the vestibule, entered into the nest box. So that's pretty neat. It's quite heavy. I got to warn you guys, it is extremely heavy. So when you put it up in the tree, you'll probably need a couple of people, some ropes, and a ladder. Let's put on the top. So if we're putting on the top, we're going to install the back batten first to the lid, and then we'll install the others based on the dimensions of the box. So working on the lid's pretty easy. You know, you just match it up to your box there and use the little nailing strips there, and your placement of them. Just make sure it's nice and snug when you sort of stick it on top of the box. So I'm just working on my third side here. I've got it clamped. Just going to throw a few smaller screws in there. Well, it's getting late and I'm finally done the box. I think it looks absolutely awesome. It's really heavy, like I said, but it's sturdy and a really unique design. I really liked this design when I was looking for how to make the nest boxes online. Again, it's out of the UK, and I'll put the link to the build down below in the description box if you're interested in making a box just like this. The next steps that I have to do essentially is just to do some exterior painting on it. You can use good exterior paint. I will probably just use some Thompson's water seal. Now, where do you put it and how do you put it up? Well, you're going to need some help. It is a really heavy box. You want to start putting the boxes up now. Right now it's the end of February, beginning of March. So you want to get them out right now because they're going to be starting to look for nesting spots. What you do when you put it up on the tree, you hoist it up. It's got to be 3 to 4 meters above the snow crust, away from predators. And you want to put this part against the tree. So you might use these to kind of help, use ropes to kind of get it up the tree. This goes against the back of the tree. But what you'll do is you'll put some vertical battens against the tree and nail them to these boards. So 2 vertical battens. And that way, the marten will come up behind, sneak up through that gap and go in the hole. So after it's up and secure, you'll leave it be and, don't disturb it. Where you should put it is deep in the forest. preferably about 100 meters. I was reading 100 meters from the edge of a creek or water source. And they do like alder trees in the spring. So if you have those in your area, that'd be a good location in that region. And certainly you want to face the box sort of the south side so that it gets a lot of the sun during the day to warm the box for them. You want to leave the box alone because they are nesting. You don't want to disturb them. There should be one box per 1 kilometer, as they're very territorial creatures and they won't breed too closely to each other. So you don't want to be putting these up like bird houses all over the place. Certainly leave at least 1 kilometer between the nesting boxes. You can, watch for signs sort of in the very late summer to see if your boxes have been used. Hair around the opening, scat by the box. Hopefully you won't find too many other species in here, but it's possible that bumblebees, could get in there. But it's a really interesting design, and my understanding is that it sort of chooses for the pine marten versus over other animals, especially like birds, because they're not going to want to, scooch back behind here to go in the openings to nest. So very unique design. Thanks guys so much for watching today's build. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, if you want to build this pine marten nest box, the link is down below to all the patterns and the plan basically that I used to build this box. Have fun if you're going to make one, and stay safe. Have a great week as always.